So there's a good chance that, at least this is what science is pointing to, there's a good chance that people are born gay, just like people are born with a certain hair color or a certain eye color. I really believe that that's true. I believe that sometimes you see gender identity issues, and I think a lot of it has to do with, and I'm not a scientist, but this is just my thought. I read that everybody when they're in the womb starts out as a female, and somewhere along the way the gender is, well, whatever. Males are decided, or males become males, but we all start out the same. And I personally think that that's evidence right there that men and women are the same. We are the same, of the same value. There's nobody who should be above the other. But anyway, I think the reason that you see people who are women, but they feel like they're men in a woman's body, or men in a... Wait a minute, how did that go? A woman in a man's body, or a man in a woman's body, I really think has something to do with that transition in the womb when a fetus decides what gender it's going to be. And I'm sure that's all genetic, or, well, I suppose it isn't genetic. See, I don't know anything about science, so this is just me and my theories. But that's what I think. I think somewhere along the way, during the development of the fetus, the gender kicks in, and maybe sometimes it doesn't kick in all the way, or it comes into the equation late. I don't know, but it just seems to me that people who are born, there are people who are born with both male and female parts. There's a word for that, but don't ask me what it is. But there's also people who are born, physically male or female, but in their heads they don't feel like their gender. They feel like they're, they should be a guy, but they're not. They're a woman. Or they should be a woman, but they're a guy. I'm trying to think of the name. There's a movie that I really it was very sad about, a transgendered, I think that's what that's called. Maybe I got the term wrong, but it was about a girl who felt like a boy. She thought she was a boy trapped in the... God, I can't remember what it's got the actors from $1 Million Baby. Anyway, sad movie. But I think it's all part of the same thing, that what makes people gay. There's so much about human development that we don't know yet. And I really do think that people are born... I mean, I had another video about the bonobo, the dwarf chimpanzee, and how they are all bisexual. And that's our closest relative, genetically. And that whole entire species is bisexual. So it doesn't surprise me, and I just think that it's kind of hardwired in humans, just like it's hardwired in a lot of different species. And like I said in my other video, I do believe it's a natural part of it's a part of the natural world. But I also think that people are born the way they're born. People who are straight can't possibly even imagine being gay, being attracted to the same gender. So it seems to me that it follows that somebody who is gay can't begin to imagine being attracted to somebody of the opposite gender. You can't just turn a switch on in your brain and say, okay, I'm going to be straight now, or okay, I'm going to be gay now. I mean, you are what you are. You are how you were made. Now, I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in God. But if I were still a Christian, my argument would be, God doesn't make mistakes. Actually, as an atheist, I will say, hell yes, he does. And then he disposes of his mistakes. He punishes his mistakes. But I don't want to digress too far along that train of thought. As a Christian, trying to remember how I would have thought as a Christian, I would say that everything that God makes is exactly the way He wants it. It's all according to His plan. And every place that we are at every given moment is all part of His plan. He can see the future. And He knows what is, basically nothing happens that isn't according to His plan, that isn't part of the grand design. That includes people who are born gay, or people that if you refuse to believe that people are born gay, which I personally don't really see the difference, but I think that people are born gay, just like people are born with red hair, but whatever brings about people feeling, attracted to the same gender, that is part of their personality, that's part of them, that's part of their identity. It's never a phase. It's never something like, oh, I think it's cool to be gay. I think it's cool to be, a second-class citizen. I think I'll choose to be a second-class citizen. And anyway, I just think that people are what they are. And unfortunately, I feel like religion has made so many people intolerant. It's like, okay to hate certain people because religion says so. I don't personally think that it's okay to hate anybody, and I really don't think it's okay to single out any group and say, well, you don't get to have that right. Everybody else does, but you. This is America, and last time I checked, there's a thing in the Declaration of Independence. I mean, isn't it that we all have the same right to pursue happiness? We're all created equal. Why is it that this is what I think is really wrong? I feel like, okay, a straight couple, did they fall in love? They get married. No problem. They don't have to sit on pins and needles and hope that the next time the elections come around that the majority will decide whether or not they can get married. How would you like it if your rights were hanging in the balance on what the majority decides? How many bigots out there? If there's too many bigots out there, sorry, you don't get to have this right that everybody else has. You have to settle for whatever lesser thing that they say you can have because the majority thinks this. I think that's wrong. I don't think that anybody's human rights should hinge upon what the majority thinks and be subjected to the majority's prejudices. It shouldn't happen. Nobody's rights should be dependent on a majority vote. When did that happen? That a group of people can be singled out and say, okay, everybody else can have this right, but you. But we'll vote in November. And we'll see what the majority decides. If the majority thinks that, that it's okay, then maybe you can have this right. But then again, it might only last for 4 years until the next time we have an election. Just like with women, it's like, oh, here, we're going to give you these rights, but there's always going to be that threat that the wrong people will come into office who won't believe or they won't agree, and they will take those rights away from you again. I feel like there's a contradiction here between the word rights and privileges. To me, it feels more like privileges that people have bestowed upon them or taken away, And you don't know when you're going to have the right or if you'll ever have the right. And once you do get the right, you get to keep it. That's like a privilege. Gay people are waiting around to be given the privilege to express their love to each other the same as everybody else. If it was a right, it wouldn't be subject to a majority vote, would it? See, the way I look at it is there's this gross injustice in America that one group of people is not being treated equal. Either gays should be able to get married or nobody should be able to get married. Or if it's only the church, then only people of that religion Only Christians can get married, or whatever religion has marriage in it. Only people who believe in God. I mean, atheists can get married, right? We don't believe in God, but we can get married. So as long as there's a man and a woman, that's all that matters. But a religious gay couple, two gay people who believe in God and are Christians or whatever, and go to church and do all the things that, that they feel in their hearts they need to do, they can't get married. But two atheists can get married who don't believe in God. And basically, where's the logic? I honestly don't understand what the difference is. I'll tell you what, I grew up with one parent. Everybody's like, oh, well, a child needs a mother and a father. I grew up with a mom. I lost my dad when I was 6. I would have loved to have had a dad. I would have loved to have had 2 dads. I would have loved to have had 2 moms. I had one mom, and my mom had issues, and because I didn't have anybody else raising me, I was basically at the mercy of whatever my mom's thought processes were. I think there should be 2 parents if you can possibly do it, but I also think that single parents should be able to have kids. My mom, even though she had issues, raised me and my brother. She did a pretty good job considering. So how come single parents can raise kids and a couple, 2 people, can't? I would have loved to have had 2 parents. It doesn't matter what gender, Anybody who's lucky enough to have 2 parents, 2 loving parents, that's amazing. There's so much need in this world for love. I don't understand the religious mentality that looks at one form of love and says this is an abomination. Maybe because you think it is. But I look at the world and I see a lot of ugliness and a lot of hate and a lot of bigotry and a lot of horrible things. And I think that love is good no matter what form it takes. I think the world needs a lot more of it. And I'm not going to burst into song now, but this is what I'm thinking. Anyway, I just don't understand. If there is a God, he made gay people. If there is a God, he made people, he makes all of us knowing ahead of time what we're going to be. And it all fits into his plan. It's all part of his plan. It's all supposed to be exactly the way it is. So I feel it's really very wrong. A person can't help whatever it is, again, assuming there's a God, which I don't believe, but whatever. We're going to assume there is a God. Every one of us has a role to play in his plan, including gay people. And people can't help whatever role it is that they're supposed to play because it's part of God's plan. Do we have control over what God wants for us or what God made us for? No. So why should gays be punished if it is God's intention for them to be what they are, which is what they are? God made them the way they are. Whether or not they're born that way, that is how they were made. Anyway, I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong if you take the religion out of it and you just look at we're all human beings. I have a lot of gay friends. I don't personally think about what they do in their personal life. It doesn't touch me. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't change my life in any way. I managed to go on being straight and happy and it doesn't make me want to be gay, hanging out with gay people. I just don't understand the mentality. I think people are incredibly ignorant and choose to stay ignorant because, honestly, I think some people like to hate. And I think it's sad because hate is ugly. Hate is wrong. And it's everything that Christianity is not supposed to stand for. And yet, who is always at the head of the line? Whenever there's a group of people that need to be hated, who's always right there in the front with the banners, the ones with the microphones, Anyway, I'm just rambling. The point is, I just think that this country is all messed up, and I feel like this is America. Women should not have to constantly, every 4 years, once again, fear losing their rights. It shouldn't always continue to come back up. Oh, well, should women have rights this time? What rights of women should we take away this time? And the gay people, too. They're people. They're human beings. They love. I don't care if you think it's wrong who they love. It's none of your business. If you love somebody and that person is your world, and you had somebody tell you, well, you can't marry this person, how would you feel? How would you feel if somebody tried to control your life like that and said that, well, I'm sorry, you fell in love with the wrong person. You can't marry him because it's an abomination that you love this person. How would you feel? That's just wrong.